Now I'm gonna ink it.
Now it's really going to come together. So cool.
Watch this, Julie. Come to life now.
So is this part of what you do? You do the inking also?
Yeah. Because it's just easier. I've been inking for so long and drawing. All right, so.
Chris, 248, thank you.
Is most of this still hand-drawn, or are a lot of people doing it with computers?
Both. I work both ways. I use the traditional, but I also do things digitally. It depends on the project. You know, I kind of go back and forth with each medium, but I still like to I like the feel of the paper. I like the feel of my hand gliding across it and the pencil making that noise and that sort of thing. That's just me. You know, I mean, I've been drawing for so long. But, you know, obviously I see myself doing more and more digital work just because of the speed of it. And a lot of the programs are getting so much better at mimicking the real feel and the real look that, you know, you do yourself a disservice by not attempting to at least, you know, learn that.
Yeah.
So nothing similar to movie animation has happened to
It's
graphic?
well, no, it has. I mean, if you look on the you know, here on many of the books on the shelves here, many of them are produced digitally. And yet, you know, people, you know, still like the original art, okay? Because, you know, the thing with comics is that there's a collectible side to it, you know, where people like to own them, collect them, and they want to collect the parts of it. So that also includes the original artwork, okay? So there's a separate market aside from the comic collectors that do that. And so, you know, they want to be able to have the feel of that page, you know, something that is personal to them, you know. So I think there will always be those that do the original art. Although, you know, as I was saying, you know, more and more are doing just the digital. I have a friend of mine named Mike McCone that he draws Justice League for DC Comics, and he does a combination where he draws digitally on the computer, and then when he goes to ink it, he just prints out the pages in blue line and hand inks them, so that there's that original. Because there are people that want to collect his artwork, so he at least is giving them that option. You know, which is good. It's actually very smart on his part.
Now my question is, for these artists, are there people that exclusively work on, like, say, Batman?
Yes.
That's all they do is Batman.
Yeah, there are some the guy who's currently drawing right now, Greg Capullo. That's all he does. He just draws Batman right now. That's his gig. And he doesn't draw anything else. There are other artists that work for DC Comics that are exclusives, but they draw other characters as well. David Finch, who's a very popular artist, is one of those. He's drawn Batman. He's drawn Justice League. I think now he's going to be doing Wonder Woman. So, you know, it all depends on the person. I think that the Batman work that Greg Capullo right now is setting a new standard for the character, and the penciling and just the imagery and the creativity that he's using in the panel layouts and stuff like that is really setting the bar for many comic artists out there. You know, because honestly, we all look at each other,
Right.
and we all, in a certain sense, copy or get inspiration. There are artists at every level, and so we just kind of learn from each other. The comics community is kind of neat that way. I don't know. I've yet to meet anyone that is not helpful.
Right.
Fellow comic artists. It could be that they're out there. I haven't run into them. And so that's a good thing. I think everyone wants to kind of help each other out. So when I have opportunities like this, I want to get more people into comics. And like I was saying before, comics is not just about superheroes. It's just a way of telling stories. Like if you look at caveman drawings, that's in a sense comic books.
Right.
All right, because you're telling a story in pictures. They didn't really have a written language, so they did it in pictures, which you can understand pictures. Okay, that's a very easy way to do it. The Egyptians used hieroglyphics, and that's how they told their stories. Of course, you need to be an Egyptologist in certain respects to kind of understand what they wrote. But the concept is still there. They were telling stories in pictures, thousands of years ago. So, there is a validity to that, and the idea of comic books is such an American thing, and it's really made its way around the world. I know that in France it's really huge. Spain, there are many creators that have come from those countries, and have made many great impacts here in the United States with their work. I'll get through this quickly. So right now what I'm doing now is I basically got the outline in. So I'm just kind of doing in the shading or the shadowing on her costume. You can do it.
I don't know. Yeah, what's your favorite one to draw?
I have so many. But there are, there's schools out there that will teach you how to draw, but there aren't very many that actually have a program dedicated to illustrating comics. There's the Joe Kubert School of Art, which is was started by Joe Kubert. That's his name. Now Joe Kubert was he's a master. He has since passed away, but up until last year, he was still drawing comic books in his late 80s at a very high level. He's just a master draftsman, and he got this inspiration to start the school, and many great artists have come out of there. his sons, Adam and Andy, to name one. Sergio Cariello. Sergio Cariello is he's known best for he drew the illustrated Bible called the Action Bible, and it's one of the top sellers in the whole world. And he did a fantastic job. So he was able to blend the comic art with the Bible, which was really awesome the way he did that.
I was reading that on the bus.
Okay, so you're familiar with it, yeah. I've got a copy at home. But he's just really amazing guy, very nice, very good guy. But there's a lot of great artists that have come out of there. Also, Steve Bissett and others. Lee Weeks is another artist that came out of the Joe Kubert School. And then in Georgia, I believe Savannah, whatever, I think it's they have a school of sequential art there. But there's very few programs that offer it. But the reality is, if you don't, you got to really seek that out and try to find the best training to do that. And art school is a one way. If you strictly want to do comics, then definitely I think the Joe Kubert School would be a good way to go on that. And then there's the digital art, there's the animation. There's a lot of great schools that teach that. School of Visual Arts is one. Because comics and animation kind of go hand in hand. So if you like computers, if you like to do stuff on that, that's one way of going. Game design, if you play video games and that sort of thing, that's a really huge thing. And they, maybe you don't necessarily like to draw comics per se, but you like to draw ideas. So maybe you're a person that's saying, what does this character look like? Maybe you can do like many different types of different looks and that sort of thing for the same character. That's called concept art, and there's a big market for that. That's how they figure out what the characters look like in each of these video games that come out. Because they go through many different looks before they settle down on one specific. So that's another avenue to go with. But the best thing and most important thing is you really need to learn how to draw the basic and draw well, because that's important, especially if you're doing comics. You really want to be able to do the best job because to tell the story, you want to keep people interested. And with comics, it's a little bit different because it's not so much about the art, it's really about the story, but I think the art helps to tell the story in the best way possible. So, if you're looking at stick figure pictures, and they're not really drawn that well, it's kind of hard to follow the story, but, you can make stick figures look good, all right? I've seen it, and it's interesting how much it actually keeps you, but, it's just how you do it. So, if you understand drawing, then you'll be able to do stick figures in such a way that you could even tell a story just doing that. So, I mean, in anything that you do, if you want to do it well, you really got to become good at it, and it takes practice and working hard at it and that sort of thing, because things just don't come easily. All right, I'm almost done here, sweetheart. I'm sorry I'm putting you to sleep.
You're not.
It's early.
It's just early, yeah. They got you up out of bed early. All right, we're almost done.
Come to life.
I was awake before my mommy.
Oh yeah, well, mommy and daddy work all week. And, they have to sleep until 8 o'clock at least.
Did you want to stay and have a run, or are you all set with it? Do you want to have a draw one, or do you want to?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll call Dad and tell him what.
I'll do
Time
that.
is it?
I do them fairly quickly.
It's 5 to 2. Dad's going to meet us for lunch at Mitchell's.
He is.